Welcome back to Hurting Little Cows. In this series on hospitality, I'm just sharing some of the ways that people have shown us hospitality, just as an encouragement of how easy and how fun it can be, but also how we can, as churches, encourage our members to be hospitable to other people. So in this one, I'm going to talk about some churches around the country when we were traveling, and their ways of showing hospitality to the people in their midst. So I'm going to do a separate video on Bluegrass Bible Fellowship in Kentucky. They are very, very hospitable, and I've got unique stories about each of them. So that's going to be its own. And also, we had friends that lived in Georgia that had a church in their house, and they've got a whole list of things too. So they're going to have their own video. But I just wanted to mention these few things about these churches that showed us hospitality over the time we were out on the road. There was a church in Florida that had a list to sign up for who got to take out the speaker or guests that came to the church that week. It wasn't, oh, I guess I'll take them out. They fought over who was able to do it. And if there was more than one person there, if there was a visiting speaker plus a family visiting, more than one person would take on the job. One would take out one person, one would take out the other, or take them to their houses, or take them to the park for a meal. It wasn't always something really fancy. You didn't have to have a lot of money to do it, but their church was very energetic about being able to take these people out. And they actually wanted to do it. No one ever felt put upon to do it. They were waiting for their turn on the list to come up so they could do it. So that was a really neat church, and a really neat way to be able to encourage people to do it, was being able to sign up and get the opportunity to take somebody out. There was another church in Kansas when we were traveling that we had some unique situations while we were there, and their church was helping us by taking us out grocery shopping, us and another family that was traveling there, as we used to do ministry work. I guess I'll just put that in there so you guys know why we were traveling. But we were working with this church, and they put some funds together to be able to take us out and meet our needs by taking us to the grocery store and getting things that we could fill our pantry and be able to cook for our families. So again, a different way to show hospitality to somebody. It doesn't require you opening your home if that's not something that you can do in this season of life. But it was a way that really made us feel loved and valued by the people that were there. Another thing that happened while we were out is when we first left Maine. I was 6 months pregnant, and we ended up having a baby who was stillborn 3 months after we had left home. And it was a very trying, hard time in our lives, and God taught us a lot through that. But the church that we were working with, we didn't really know anybody there because Mark had been sick the first couple weeks we were there. And then I delivered the baby and then was put on bed rest because of the complications that were going on there. But the church there brought meals every night. Sometimes 2 or 3 people would show up at the same time with a meal, because there was a little mixed message of who was bringing dinner that night. But we had meals for, I think, 3 weeks. Every night we had food provided, which also sometimes included snacks for the kids that they could eat the next day, or a breakfast item for the next day. And these people didn't know us very well because of Mark being sick. I hadn't been able to be out with the kids to really meet the people that were there, but they just knew what the need was, because of our unique circumstance of just having lost a baby, that they really were able to show us love in a way that we couldn't have done it any other way, because I was so sick I couldn't really go to people's houses. But it was just such a blessing, and God was really glorified through those people at that time, because they really showed how much they were willing to step into our lives, and just cry with me when they would bring the meal and just let me talk about our story. And it was just really neat to see people we had never met step up in that way. And then the last group that I want to talk about is a church that we went to a conference down in North Carolina, and we had very limited funds. This was just a couple of years ago, and Mark was starting to have some issues that we were afraid he was going to be out of work. But we really felt like we should go down to this conference, but we didn't have a whole lot of money to spend on hotels because the hotels in the area were really expensive. So we wrote to the church and just asked if there was anybody who might have a spare room we could sleep in or anything. And there was an amazing family, the Keith family, who opened their home to us without knowing us at all, said we could come stay for the couple days of the conference. And they just had 2 rooms they gave us with a bathroom and just let us into their lives. And what was even more amazing than that was on the way down, we had car troubles and we stopped at a local mechanic. He said it was safe to drive, even though the car was going to be very noisy and problematic on the way down. It was safe to drive the next couple hours. So we called them at like 7 o'clock in the morning and said, I know you weren't expecting us till 4 this afternoon, but could we get there a little early because we got to get our car to the shop and we're not really sure what's going on. Could we just come put our stuff down a little early and then we'll get out of your hair. We'll go find something to do. Well, by the time we got there, an hour and a half later, I think it was, they had already made plans of how to get our car to the shop. They had made us breakfast. They had, started all their chores early of washing the laundry and everything, the sheets and stuff they were going to wash to give us our bedding. And just opened their homes multiple hours before they were even expecting, and had done all the work of calling around to ask if there was a vehicle we could borrow for the time that we were there, since our car was going to be in the shop. So by that day, we knew that we'd have a vehicle to drive the next day, which was a beautiful vehicle that was way more expensive than we ever could have afforded to drive for the couple days that we were there, and helped us get our car fixed. And it was just an amazing blessing. The church there, multiple people had opened their homes to other people coming to the conference to stay. And, people were asking, how's the car? What do you guys need? It was just an amazing time. Their church really showed hospitality in many different avenues and really encouraged their members to be hospitable and really have other people in their homes. So I hope that that's an encouragement to you as a church, that maybe you could do something that would help spur other people on to look for people's needs and be able to help them in ways that may not look like the typical have someone over for a meal, but ways that you can show the love of Christ to different members of your body. Have a good day. Thanks.